All right, everyone, thank you for joining us at the 2025 AHR Expo, hanging out with Adam Kimmel once again from Koura. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Good to be here.
You know, when we did our show before, we didn't know each other a whole lot. We talked online a little bit, and when we got together, man, it was just like two HVAC geeks going to town. And I love it because there's so many times I feel like I'm out here in the industry going, listen, somebody listen.
Ringing the bell.
Yeah, and then I get you, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Now we got something, because now we got another bell ringer, and we're talking about change, and we're talking about this whole refrigerant transition that we're going through. And so many people are like, I'm ready to go back to 22, and I'm like, it's never going to happen. Get rid of it. Grow up, right?
That's right.
And so when we look at what's happening in our industry, all of our HFCs, our high GWP HFCs, we've got to find solutions for, right?
That's
And
right.
you're in the business of finding solutions with refrigerants. I focus a lot of time on residential, light commercial sector, because a lot of our schools are working with that. A lot of our teachers are in that realm.
Sure.
I even just had one of our followers come by and go, you got to stop talking about heat pumps so much, man. You got to talk about some of this other stuff.
Yeah, it's a popular topic, but
It is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's help everyone understand like the other industries that are looking for solutions for their refrigerants, and what solutions Koura is our course coming up with.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the common theme is we need alternatives. We need levers
Yeah.
to pull. What could we do versus the incumbents? And
Yeah.
so some of the really exciting ones are the data center segments, so the chillers.
Man,
So could you imagine with AI, machine
Yeah.
learning, smart manufacturing,
Right.
all of the data needs processed and all the process needs to be cooled.
exactly.
So data center chillers are seeing really, really high exponential growth.
Yeah,
And a lot of those use 134A.
exactly.
So 134A is subject to all the phase
Yeah,
downs.
it's one of the highest. So we already got rid of it in automotive. It's gone.
Exactly
Like,
right. So the automotive blends that we launched can
Uh-huh.
also be used in those data center chiller applications. So
Oh, really?
456A and 444A are two of the really exciting ones that we've been getting a ton of questions on these
Sure.
for, how do these help us,
Yeah.
right, with this phase down. So two of the ways they do is 456
Okay.
is 50% 134A. So for every kilogram that you could use of 134A, you can use 2 kilograms of 456A. Same
Because
exact
of the
perfor-
GWP.
Exactly. It's half the GWP.
No kidding.
Same
Okay.
performance drop in, same
Right.
components. It's the easy button for that segment. So they can drop that in today.
That's a huge change.
Yeah.
I just was speaking with Dan Foss earlier today, and we started out talking refrigeration, and then it turned into heat transfer. And the biggest topic we were, diving into was like data centers. Like
Yes,
the growth of
yes.
data centers over this next decade is going to be numbers that most people can't even imagine, right? And
Exponential. Yeah.
exponential.
Yeah.
And so we are going to have to remove heat and move it places, and those chillers, they're already using things like 134A. We don't want to spend millions and millions of doing complete system retrofits if we already have functional equipment. We just need to find the refrigerant solutions.
Right.
Okay, and so what refrigerant is this?
So 456A is the one that drops right in, 456A, and it's a blend. And so
Yeah.
I think that the news or the thing to keep in mind is a single molecule material
Yeah.
can't deliver all of the requirements,
No.
all of the performance, all the regulatory, all of that. It's just not enough anymore.
Exactly.
So once we commit to saying, look, we're happy to blend these existing molecules together, we can solve almost any thermal problem there is.
Okay.
And in addition, it opens up materials that may have too high of GWP on their own, like R32.
Yeah.
That's in 456A. So all of a sudden, that's a tool in the box
Oh,
that we can
right.
use for these new blends.
Yeah.
So it
yeah,
makes us, as manufacturers and product developers, have a lot more, ammunition
You
to
bet you
solve
do.
these. So that's an exciting, opportunity. 32 is a great refrigerant,
It
but
is.
the GWP is too high. But now it's back in for these blends.
And we're still seeing R32 being used in a lot of refrigerants, including things like R454B.
Mm.
It was half of R410A.
Right.
32 is a good refrigerant to work with for blending.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
And I've
absolutely.
heard that from a few different chemists that 32 is easy to work with.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about solutions for refrigerants, we're going to see things like that popping up quite a bit. And well, what about like some of our ultra low temperature? So back in my day when I was doing a lot of refrigeration, I did have a few ultra low temperature in, critical pharmaceutical applications.
Yeah.
And so I know it's not a large sector of our industry, but it is an absolute important sector that we cannot do without. So what is that area of the industry looking at for solutions?
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of recent regulations that are putting extreme time pressure to
Right.
change.
Exactly.
And so the GWP, there's an exemption in place. So there hasn't been that downward pressure until now. So
Okay.
for a
Okay.
system like an environmental chamber
Yeah.
that uses R23, the GWP is 5 figures, 23,000. Well, all of a sudden they're going to have to get below 2,200 in the coming years.
Ooh, okay.
So what options do they have?
Right.
So we're seeing a ton of interest in our 473A product,
Huh.
which is it gets down to a boiling temperature of minus 75 C.
Wow.
So it's not quite pharmaceutical grade, but it's
Right.
certainly good enough for those.
Could be a
climate
good
change.
solution. Yeah.
Right, so any 508B system
Okay.
or any R23 system, 473 is the easy button for that one.
Okay. So is it a drop-in? Are we doing oil changes? Is it?
There's a few system modifications to that
Okay,
one. It's not
sure.
quite as drop-in as the 456 and 444A ones, but it gets you that GWP reduction, and the
Yeah.
availability is going to be much better. That's
Control
an existing,
set points, EEP
Yeah,
settings,
exactly.
some of the
Yeah.
some of the basics. Anytime
the
we're doing
basics.
refrigerant transitions,
Yeah.
like, it's nothing new for refrigeration. We've been doing this.
Right.
When I got into the industry back in the 90s, I was
Yeah.
pulling out R12, going, okay, all right, what's our solutions? Well, it depends on the application.
Sure.
We're going to use 409. Yeah, you're going to make some pressure control adjustments,
Right.
temperature control adjustments, and so. That's just part of what we do, but it's really interesting to see how we're working with these refrigerants to come up with solutions to help prolong this transition, especially on the service side.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. Yeah,
Fantastic.
and I think one of the things to note is that there are some system changes, but there's
Right.
help available, right? I
Exactly.
mean, we've got a full R&D staff, happy to answer questions and talk about this to make sure that this is an easy product to use, right?
Right.
We don't want to just say, here's a refrigerant, good luck
Yeah,
to you.
yeah.
There's
See you
the
later.
support available for
Yeah.
anyone to adopt it.
And so, what is a good way for those that are interested in learning more about new refrigerants and new applications? What's a way they can connect with Koura?
So Koura, our website is kouraglobal.com.
Okay. Yep.
It has, most of the high level information on
Sure.
the refrigerants. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm all over that LinkedIn
Yes.
where possible. So always happy to field questions.
Yeah.
And if, our staff is always up for meetings and conversations about like just what's the problem you're having. I mean,
Right.
many of the systems are kind of custom and
Yeah.
there's a nuance to it. Well, let's
Right.
talk about your specific case and we can recommend a solution, either a system or refrigerant combination. If it's one of ours, great. If it isn't, you'll be better for having the discussion. So we
Very
love that consultative approach. So,
All right, Adam Kimmel, thanks for your time. We appreciate you all joining us.
thanks so much.
Mhm.